Hi everyone, another weekend up here at Nagambie. Been doing a bit of work today on getting the door completed. I've just cut the flywire screen frame. So maybe I'll get that first. Nice tight fit. I've got some corners, some joining corners to go in. It's just sitting there at the moment, but it's a nice tight fit, so it's worked out really well. They're the corners, hold it all together, and been working on the door, on the other door. I've ended up riveting that gal sheet over the top of it. Obviously had to patch up a few holes. Had one of the hinges actually break off, so what I decided to do was drill both hinges and rivet them. So that's nice and secure now. I haven't bought a lock for it yet. Sorry about the glare. I haven't bought a lock, so I just put a couple of metal self-tapping screws in there to hold it shut for a week until I get back up here with something. What else? The inside. Big problem. My big cabinet won't fit through the door. It won't fit through the window. So I have to dismantle the cabinet by the looks of it and rebuild it inside here. Got all the lights, all the ceiling lights painted today. I got both done. As you can see, they don't fit up flush against the ceiling simply because this seam, this joining piece here doesn't allow it. A little bit of a stupid idea by the manufacturers when they built it, but that's the way it goes. I hope it's not too dark in here. I did have all that that corner filled last week. I've gone over it today and I've painted it, so that looks really good now. I've leveled the bed base out a little bit. I've realised that the corner of the caravan actually needs jacking up a little bit, not too much. So I've got to put like a paving stone or something, a small paving stone under that end, just to raise it a little bit. I did a few little touch-ups on the door, as I said I was going to do. Now this wall panel, although me and my old man put liquid nails on it, it didn't quite sit, when we put it in, it didn't quite sit up against the frame, so it didn't adhere. So what I did today, we'll go for a walk, is I took this louvered cover off, as I said I was going to do, and I cut out a sheet of plastic and riveted that over the top. But before I did that, I was actually able to get in between the wall sheeting and the frame. So what I did is I pumped a whole heap of liquid nails in there, then went inside and propped the wall up so it pushed the panel against the frame. And then once I knew that had dried, I put the plastic panel in, which now will not allow any water or air or anything to get in there and make it cold inside the van or wet. And then I just riveted that back over the top. It's not a, it's not a bad job. It's not a perfect job either. I had a couple of screws I had to grind the heads off. I had no choice. Rusted. This was already split. Another head here was rusted out. Just couldn't. It just didn't want to let go on that corner. Just really got bad in those two spots. I think because they're sunk in, you can see that one there. You still got white paint in around the rivet, but somehow I managed to get the screw head off. I think it might have been popping out a little bit more. So that's all sealed up now. Did run some silicone down here, down the seam as well. Fixed up the alloy trim along the bottom. Just put a couple of self-tapping screws in there to just neaten up the side. I've got to plug one other hole here. Don't know what that was for, but you can see clearly into the van, so that's going to be my next job, to do that. I've got a couple of bits and pieces here I've still got to do. Obviously that didn't screw into anything, so you can see there the wall bows out, so you can see timber or something in there. Don't know if the camera will pick it up. I just need a wood screw in there, I think. So we'll get it all sorted. What else? Not much today, guys. I thought I was going to get a lot more done, but it didn't turn out that way. It took me about an hour to find my pop rivet drills. Thought I'd lost them or left them at home. I ended up finding them, and that meant I couldn't start the door, so I was trying to figure out a way to get that cabinet in here, and come to the conclusion that I'm going to have to dismantle it, which is a bit of a shame, but there's just no way. It just will not go in. So a couple other things I did is I had to reinforce the legs on this bed, or this bed base, because when I pulled it out to fix that back piece, I lowered it back in and I pushed it, and basically the back leg collapsed. So I've put some really big screws in from here right through into the leg on each corner, so that should hold it in place okay. And that's about it. I'm just going to keep going with this fly screen and try and get that finished before the end of the day. A couple other things I did is I did cut the seals here. They'd shrunk over time and they were pulling across the corner, so I cut them and I pushed them back so at least I had coverage in this one corner, and then I've just filled that with silicone. I've still got to do the top as well, but I needed to make sure I had enough silicone to do the door, and I've gone along the top and taken off all these old annex brackets which I don't need anymore, and I've just filled them with silicone as well. So yeah, and that was another thing too. I had two tubes of it. Both of them were dry. I'm lucky that a jumper up here who's a tradie happened to have a tube in his van, said I could have it, so that worked out really good. What else didn't I do? I didn't get the thumb nut for here. It's still in the console of my car. I didn't get a chance to get one during the week, so when this goes back down tonight, I'll just fasten it up with cable ties as I did last week. When I got up here it was still fastened in place, so obviously I did a good job, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, so I'll leave it here and I'll keep moving and show you where I get to by the end of the day. I've managed to get all the fly screens in today, so they're all mounted. I fixed this one up, the bracket was broken off it, so I've re-riveted that on, and yeah, just sort of finishes it off a little bit. Had a hole in this fly screen here, so I'd used a bit of clear silicone, and I had a little bit of leftover from the caravan door. I just put a patch on it. Nothing flash. I'll replace it at a later stage. I didn't realise that had a hole in it, so we'll get that done probably next week. The fly screen for the caravan door turned out okay. Got to clean it up a little bit. I didn't bring a file with me, so I have to sort of clean this up a little bit. They're just burrs, but the fit's really nice. It's super tight. It's not going to need anything to hold it in. And this all seems to be sitting pretty now. A couple of screws in there till I get the lock, as I said. But yeah, we'll see how waterproof it is over the duration of the week. Might need to put another rivet in there. It seems to be bowing a little bit, but there's no hurry for that. And just here around the hinges, I'll need to fill that with silicone as well, because the back ends of the rivets poking through. You can't see them from here, but they're poking through. So there's a little bit of a bulge there, a little bit of a bulge there. But it's been a pretty good day's work, and we're about to head home. The sun's not quite on the horizon yet, but yeah, time's getting on, and I'm going home. Cheers. Hi everybody, another week up at the caravan. It's the 27th, I think, or 28th. It's on a Sunday anyway, so you can do the math. During the week I dismantled the main cabinet for the caravan, because as you know from the previous video, I couldn't get it in the door. It was 20mm too wide, so I've had to dismantle everything, bring it back up in pieces, get it through the door, put it back together in the van. So that's what I've been doing for the last 45 minutes, and we have a cabinet. I haven't brought the bottom drawers up. I didn't have enough room left in my car to bring everything up that I did today, plus the 2 bottom drawers, so I'll bring them up next week. Got it level in both directions, so that's great. The only issue I had a problem with, or the only thing I had an issue with, was this power point. I needed to cut the hole out. I need to go a little bit higher, by 25mm, to clear the bench top, because I think what I've done is I've taken into account obviously the legs and the blocks underneath, and where the power point sat with no bench top on it was absolutely perfect, and I forgot to add the 25 for the bench top. But it didn't damage the wall at all. The power point still covered the mistake, which is great. Now the next job I think I'm going to attempt is this little partition wall that goes just in here. It only comes to there. There's not a great deal of room here. This cabinet's probably a fraction wider, but only a fraction wider than what the original caravan cabinet was. I don't know if the camera will do it justice, but the old dividing wall used to obviously come to here, and the cabinet is sticking out a little bit further. So you're probably looking at about maybe 30mm more, but it's ample room for me to get through. You know, I'm doing this on a budget, as you know, as I do with everything. And when you get a nice set of cabinets like this, you don't knock them back. So yeah, I'm gonna put a dividing wall up. I'd love to be able to just start it from here and go to the ceiling. It's possibly something I could do, because this doesn't have any edging on it. I could screw something straight into here and just use this as the bottom section of the dividing wall. But I'm sort of like, I want to sort of experiment a little bit with some of these sheeting offcuts here. Just put them up, see what they look like, and I still have to build a frame to obviously put the paneling on, but just experiment. And if I don't have to build a wall which is like 50mm wide, which reduces even more, you know, takes away more space in here, that'd be great. If it's only the thickness of, you know, I can make up a really thin frame at home during the week, and then just staple the board to it, and then screw into here and then into the roof, it'll work out a lot better. Learning as I'm going. So what else? Overhead cabinet. I was sort of I had a little bit of a play with that before. I'm going to try and prop this camera up and see if I can lift. There we go. Hopefully that's not too bad. I'll try and move everything out of the way that might be in the field of vision. But that's sort of the idea. And if I get those doors from work that originally came off this cabinet when it was much higher, and I can cut them down, that'll finish that off beautifully there. And then once that's mounted, then I can put all my little strips of quad in, do that repair in the roof with a piece that will run from here right up to the dividing wall. So it's continuous, it won't just be like a patch that you can see, it'll look like it's supposed to be in there. So I'm going to leave it here for now. I'm actually going to have an early beer. I do all my drinking up here, so I'm going to have an early beer and then I'm going to get stuck back into it, guys, and I'll show you where we get to. Okay, I've done a little bit more work, but I didn't stick to the plan. Decided to actually swap out the air conditioners. Mine's a reverse cycle, so heating and cooling. The one that was in the van was just cooling. I tried chopping away at the silicone, holding it in, tried looking for screws to see how it was mounted in. In the end, I couldn't get it out. So I thought, I've got nothing to lose, so I just pulled, obviously what I did is I pulled this out, pulled the main body out of the carcass, and I knew the air cons were the same size, and had the same vents in the same place. So what I did is I pulled my air con out of its old carcass, and I pulled the air con out of the carcass that was already fitted up in the window, and just swapped the units over, and they're identical. I'd say that they're probably made in the same factory like most things. Identical setup, everything, even all the brackets that hold it in, the filters, the whole lot, it's all the same. So I'm just running this now. I'm just making sure it all works. It's been a while since it's been started up, so it probably needs a bit of a run. Yeah, definitely cold. I don't want to go sort of swapping it out, and it turns out mine's stuffed and that one I took out's good. So this one's a Electrolux Kelvinator, and it's digital, so yeah, it's not bad. We've definitely got cooling there. Change the mode here, so I can go to heat. Aircon's shutting down now, so up the temperature to a nice warm 26 degrees Celsius for winter. And I might have to just shut it down and restart it. Okay, so we go to heat, 26, and there we go, it's started up. This originally came with a remote as well, but I didn't get the remote when I bought it. Not that it really mattered any. So I'm just waiting now to see if we get some heat here. the last time that it was actually used was during winter, so I know the heater was working back then. Well, it's not blowing ice cold. It's just like sort of a, it's not hot, it's not cold, it's neutral at the moment. So we'll just wait and see. If that that warms up a bit. There's lots of bits and pieces coming out of it, a lot of mouse shit to be honest, and some of the foam, you can see there, I've got a little bit of foam there that's just poking down at the top. It's probably too dark to see it in the footage, but take my word for it. Just little bits and pieces. I did give it a bit of the best clean out I could outside without having a compressor up here, but yeah, I think that's starting to get warm now. I know the heater always took a little while to get going. The air conditioning was always pretty quick. I did actually stuff up when I tried to put this cover back on. There's these two little things that are supposed to connect here so that you can adjust the louvers, and I did snap them off. Turns out this one's got exactly the same louver in it. And I'm thinking about swapping it out, changing it over, so I'll have a look at that in the next couple of minutes. I think I need to take out a couple of screws on the top here to lift that up and then slide that out. So let's do it now. See if we can do this. Okay, get the GoPro set up there. Let's have a look and see if we can take it out. I'm going to try and sell this aircon here on site, so I don't have to take it home with me. There's bound to be someone out here in this area that needs one. There we go. It's out. Easy as that. So, only problem is now I've got to pull mine apart, and I've already installed it. So it's always the way, isn't it? Now, let's go right up. Let's get some serious heat into this thing, because I want to make sure. No, I've got it on cool. I've got it on the wrong setting. So hang on. Here we go. Heat mode. Heat mode is the second one. You heard it change then. I had it just on cool. Okay, I think, yeah, it's definitely getting warm. I can feel it now on my face. So let's just see how we go. Having a lot of troubles keeping the louver up today. It's very windy outside, so I've got to, you know, as you know, I've got to fix that too. Yeah, that's definitely blowing warm air, and it's, as you can see, it's increased from 22 to 23, so it'll work its way up. This is great. It's got a timer. You can preset it when you go to bed, and it's right above my head too, so you know, you can run the air conditioner at night. If it gets too cold, I've just got to hit that power button and it's off. I don't have to get out of bed. That's one bonus of having moved the bed head up this end of the van, rather than having it down there where the TV now is. So yeah, it definitely feels warm. It is warm. Just waiting for that temp to go up a little bit more. There we go, 24 degrees, back down to 23. It is climate like sensitive. It does have a sensor in it, so yeah, that's hot, guys. That's definitely 24 degrees there. So anyway, I'll power it down. This cable, I'm going to shorten it up, and I'm going to try and find a plug where the cable actually goes in through the side. Some appliances have them, and I think you can buy them aftermarket, just so that it just comes out. It's just neater than sticking right out here and then coming back. It just looks horrible. So I will shorten that cable up by a significant amount, and run it along the seam, run it back up along the seam, and then along here, along the base here, and then straight up. I'll get some of those 3M adhesive cable holders and make that look really nice. So at least the aircon works, I know that. Now I can put this one, what brand is it? It's Centrix. I can put the Centrix air conditioner back in the Calvinator Electrolux carcass and sell it off. Okay, I'll leave it here. I'm going to do some more work and I'll pick up on the vid later. I've started to assemble the dividing wall between the kitchen and the bedroom. I made up a frame out of just some old skirting board I had lying around in the shed at home, and I didn't need anything super strong. It was just something I could screw to the roof and then screw to the edge of the bench. So what I've come up with is this. So I've already trial fitted the frame before I stuck the ply or the sheeting on there. This will be the side that you see in the kitchen. Have a nice edge on it. I just have to stain this, obviously, where I've had to cut this piece down, and I had some offcuts from all of that, and I had this piece of aluminium or alloy joining trim, which was originally in the van. It was one of the original pieces that I managed to save. I managed to save one entire length of it, and all I did was got a bit of steel wool and rubbed it back, and it's come up really shiny, and that's going to look nice. That'll be on the bedroom side. So yeah, if that comes up as good as that, I'm just wondering what my what all these aluminium frames will come up like if I give them a good scrub. Probably look really good, and especially this whole window in the back. I did end up swapping out that louver from the other air conditioner. It's actually better because it's white. I think this aircon was white at one stage, but over the years it's yellowed. So yeah, I swapped it out. All I've got to do now is actually seal the silicone that I attempted to cut away. I was lucky. I cut it straight with a blade, so I didn't get rid of the bulk of the silicone. So all I have to do is really pump some silicone into that cut, and that'll seal it up again. Yeah, it was just I got lucky on that. Got very lucky on that. As you can see, the power point sits nice there above the bench. A little bit of clearance underneath it, which is nice. What else? Not much else. Just been tied up with making this, although it doesn't look like much. It's taken a bit of time to sort of work out what I could use in the way of materials and sort of do all the sort of mocking up and making sure it all fits, and yeah, cutting it all. So what I'll do with the end here is I'll just buzz it with my sander and get it all nice, so that you don't get all these chipped edges. Although with this stuff it's extremely hard not to chip it, no matter what you do, because there's only paper stuck over MDF. It's very it's very brittle. But yeah, you know, this is going to serve its purpose. So leave it here, and when I've got this thing mounted, I'll show you what we got. Okay, we're nearly at the end of another day. I'm going to get away a little earlier this week than I did last week. As you can see, I got the dividing wall in. I got a kicker board in. I'm a bit disappointed with that, because I had that outside and I had it sitting on top of a makeshift workbench, and there was no wind, and then all of a sudden there was a big gust and it blew that off, and it sort of flipped it over and ripped it across the stones. So I got a couple of marks there, but it's just a kicker panel anyway. You know, I'm not going to go buy another sheet to replace that, and I don't have anything long enough there to use in recutting that and making it nice. I've got to put a couple of filler bits in on the end, but I'll do that next week. I've got one here. That doesn't particularly bother me. It's actually quite a good storage area from the bedroom side. I got the carpet stuck on the wheel arch today. Got my fire extinguisher mounted. I always like to have it near the bed, because if you have a fire that starts out here somewhere, you only got one escape route, and if your fire extinguisher is mounted near the door, you've got no way of getting it. So I like to have that near the bed. I got a piece of quad up along that roof area. Some of the no more or liquid nails has squeezed out, but I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to let it dry for the week, and then I'm going to get a razor blade and I'm going to remove it with the razor blade, rather than make a complete mess of the roof. This here, I'm going to bring the brown paint back up, and I'm going to paint this. I'm going to paint all this so it matches in. I thought it would look alright, but it's the only bit of stained timber in the van. Any other timber is actually raw timber, so it sort of doesn't match. So I'm going to repaint. I'm going to paint that, finish it off nicely. What else? As you know, I got the aircon in. Gave the back windows a little bit of a clean. A lot nicer now to look out of. Not perfect, but better than they were. I did trial the microwave on the bench there. I don't like it. It takes up too much bench space. So I'm going to leave the microwave there. It's a nice fit. Can run a power board down there for the fridge and the microwave. And the kettle will go here. I've got my twin hot plate, electric hot plate that can go over in that side, and my toaster can sit right in the middle. So I've pretty much got that worked out. I don't think I'm going to put the overhead cupboard in now, so I've measured up that piece of quad that needs to go in there, and that's roughly around about 2.4, 2.5 meters. So I'll get a new piece of quad to put in along there. I think it's just going to be too hard to mount in the cupboard. It's real hard, even with the stud finder, to find the studs in the wall here. I don't know why. The stud finder just doesn't like it, the makeup of that wall. So I don't want to take a guess and then screw it up. So I don't really need it. I've got this overhead here. I've got tons and tons of space in this cabinet. I've got this cabinet, and I've got the overheads at each end of the van as well, plus all the storage under the bed. So I don't think I really need anything here. Got a nice wide bench top. So yeah, I'm going to leave it the way it is. So no overhead cupboard now. And that's about it, guys. It's only small things now that I got to do, and my little filler piece on the end, and running a strip in along the roof there to cover that hole up. But that's only going to take me a couple of hours. So the weekends of coming up here to work on the van are drawing to a close, and I can actually get back to jumping 2 days a week. Another thing that I did, and I simply used what I had left. I need to paint it, so you probably won't notice it as much, but I put a piece of quad in there and along here, I didn't have that's actually a bigger piece. There's a bigger gap there. I didn't have a piece long enough, so I've had to use two pieces. So you know, that once that's painted in this cream colour, you won't, it won't draw your eye to it. You won't see it. I've still got to do the backboard here, and I have all the measurements for the cushions, so I'm going to obviously pre-cut all the foam at home and make the covers up for those cushions over the next month or two. I'm not really in any hurry to get cushions on this. I have to excuse my sniffles again. I've got hay fever, so yeah. Yeah, it's coming to an to a close now. So I'm gonna leave it here, guys. I'm gonna hit the road and get some dinner on the way home, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Cheers.